good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Doppler'S Gear Garage. It is Saturday. It is... It's cool in California. It's, I am playing through getting notifications. Playing through the JP2C 112 combo, limited edition. And it's got one of the prettiest clean sounds I've ever heard. First of all, let me take a look down here in the commentos. Good morning, Sonia. Great to see you. Hello, hello, hello. And we've got Nandini. Good morning to you as well. Hello. In the midst of a cross-country trek. Paul Richard. Hello, hello, hello. Griffin Gaines. Paul, by the way, I just want to give you a specific call out. That lovely little thing that you tossed in on the inversion thing as part of Theory Geek Thursday that you put up on Facebook, that meant a lot. Both Melissa and I had a lovely little convo about that, so thank you for that. Griffin Gaines, good morning to you. All right, hot in New Orleans swamp, but I am enjoying my Costa Rican Java. Good morning, Miss Sonia and Dr. Nandini. I love that. Y'all people know each other. Sonny, what's happening? Sonny and I have known each other for a mighty long time, so it's great to see you. Good morning, my friend. All right, let's see. Chris Alexander, by the way, happy anniversary. So thanks for tuning in the midst of all of this. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I love seeing that everybody kind of knows everybody else. That is pretty awesome. And I love that. Hold on, there we go. There we go. And Dr. Nandini. That has a great ring to it. All right. So first of all, Doppler'S Gear Garage. What are we doing today? We're going to be spending some time talking about and applying, true to my word, inversions. And Kevin Wayne Carr, what's going on? And Brent Milligan. Hey, hey, hey. First of all, Kevin, hello. Brent, congratulations on your latest release. I was just over on the Instagram, on the Facebook. I love it when people say it, on the Facebook, as opposed to like, hey, just on Facebook. I don't know why I did that, but in any case, Stephen Curtis Chapman, latest release, co-producing, and I'm sure you were laying down some beautiful bass on that. Congratulations. Look forward to hearing that. All right. So first of all, let's take a little roll call in an important way and raise them up. You got to let me know. Here we go. Yep. Gosh, you know, I'm not very good with the mouse with the right hand and the drink in the left hand, but this is courtesy of Tony Lucchese. You know, one of the neat things about getting out and playing shows, we were in Nashville about a year ago, give or take. There we go. Come on. It would be awkward to say he's your man too, or you're his man too. That didn't quite come out right. I'll stop while I, oh, there we go. Come on. Tony Lucchese, look at this. So what I hadn't messaged until I actually, you know, so the funny thing is that I have kind of these interesting relationships with some folks that Tony was at the Santana concert last night and decided to start sending through all sorts of great little clips. So as a sign of thank you, I made sure to kind of show his cup, said cup that he kindly gave me, and it's a very lovely touch. And Tony showed up at the Nashville show with a bunch of Georgia peaches, as I recall. So it was just so incredibly thoughtful. And I am so thankful and so blessed and so just grateful to have all these amazing people in my life. Eric, the Beard Man, what's happening? Thank you very much. Near and dear to me. That looks like a very nice Gibson Explorer there with the block inlay. So that's a kind of a custom job, if you will. Tundrastruck, hola, que paso, buenos dias. And Dr. Phil, what's happening? Holy cow, look at all these folks. Germany is also very hot. Sonia, what's the word in German for hot? Sprechen Sie hot. All right, gosh darn it. So, what we're going to be talking about, amongst a couple of things. First of all, this amp is here. So on Doppler's Gear Garage, I'll pretend, there we Caliente. I'll do easier with Caliente. How the heck do I say that phonetically, Sonia? What is the B? How do you say that? Hot. Okay, so I have been spending a bunch of time with this amp here, shooting a bunch of content. So one of the things we're going to do, mucho caliente es la verdad, no? Is that I want to play through a couple of sounds of this because as Doppler's Gear Garage would imply, we should be talking about gear from time to time. Then what we're going to do is we're going to delve into this thing with inversions. And, inversions are kind of one of those things that when you're on the outside looking in, it's analogous to MIDI where you're kind of like, I know it does something cool, but that's kind of all of what it is. And we're going to be working initially off this C major chord because there's so much obvious stuff that's kind of hiding there in plain sight that one wouldn't normally think. And, the thing is it's also important to connect the dots between the thinking and the theory and actually playing some music. So it's interesting as I was kind of messing around with all this stuff here, I ended up kind of playing through, and this, what is that? The first Noel, right? So what's neat about it is I realize Christmas is not here, but just imagine maybe you're gathered around the Yule time log or whatever the heck it is, the egg nog or the egg whatever, egg grog for some of y'all. And this is a really interesting way to be able to kind of walk your way through doing one of the most difficult things with inversions is really being able to kind of track where the roots are. So we'll be spending a little bit of time working on that. We'll talk about tracking where the roots, we'll be doing that. And we'll be kind of talking about how to kind of see from the inside out. Normally when you think of inversions, you kind of see them like that, and it's a little bit confusing until we just break it down. I'm going to ask everybody to grab a pen or pencil and some paper if you're so inclined, because that way we can kind of do some of the, if you will, hear work together. With that said, I'm going to play a little bit of this amplifier here. I have been madly working away on this thing. I'm in the middle of the second of 3 videos. Actually, I'm at the tail end of 2 or 3 videos. The first one, if you haven't had a chance, you're invited to. It's on my YouTube. I got a chance to spend 45 minutes via Zoom with John Petrucci and his tech, Maddie Schiffer-Stein, talking about the backstory of this amplifier, the development of the JP2C, which is the most... the funny thing is I've been playing this thing... That was not something that I anticipated it was going to do like that, right? Raphael, good morning. There you go. Come on, bring it on. Hold on, I hit the wrong button, but yes. Good morning, my friend. Habla español? No? And yes, get those inversions going. Talking about my love language. There we go. JKM. John, what's going on, my dear friend? Did you sell the Les Paul? Sonia, I have used the same clip for the 57 and 121. I absolutely love it. I can riff in real time. So the deal is trying to capture this amp. The second video in the trio, the right buyer is what we want, right? Is going to be basically a main demo video. And because you're here with me, I'm going to play some of the demo clips. In fact, I'm going to play just about all of them. Not too good. I am from Seattle, Washington. I am from the San Francisco Bay Area, so I do some version of Spanglish or something. I don't know. In any case, David, what's going on? Good morning to you. Hello, hello, hello. Awesome. So, what I want to do, ya si se puede con el maestro Doug. ¿Cómo se dice kind? Muchas gracias, señor. Bien. Cool. I've gone completely wacky. All right. So the deal is capturing an amp like this, especially when you, in the second video, it's gonna be basically a bunch of demo stuff. But John and Maddie are kind of doing cameos, talking about the feature set of this amp. So I'm not going to talk about that today because that's going to be in the second video. But I do want to play some of the sounds because I want to do that for y'all. Because this is Doppler's Gear Garage, and we do actually talk about gear, not just inversions. But the thing is that it's a very special amplifier, and much of the demo work I was actually using Cab Clone, and that is a generation before Cab Clone IR. And I must admit, I was a little like, what is that going to be like? Because no, you can't see it. Hang on, yes, you can over there. There you go. You can see right there. You have a pair of Cab Clone IRs. And so this has kind of become my jam in the boogie world for kind of capturing the essence of my favorite cabinets as were done by a brilliant engineer. It is, I think, 65 pounds. And let's see. Tony, let me just double check that. Macy, because I had that page up earlier. It is not an inexpensive item. However, there have been a couple, $42.99. So here we go. So there's been a couple of interesting comments in the threads. Some people throwing, I'll just say it, being absolute children. And other people just kind of going, okay, you know, it is an interesting value proposition when you think about the fact that right there is an original Mark II C+. And those are, depending on what day of the week, if you get it with a combo and you get it with all the features like 6100 potentially, although the Metallica guys use the Simulclass, graphic EQ, reverb, you know, on $10,000 is not an unreasonable asking price. People are paying more like $8,000. So the fact, mine originally came as a combo that's been rehoused. When you think about the fact that I'm in California, the cost of living in California is insane. A drink at Chipotle, a diet soda, is $3. I mean, you want to get up in a lather about something, a $3 soda. And the same thing, I went to get a little bottle of Coke Zero at the supermarket. Hey, what's going on, Zach? Great to see you. Yes, so they are heavy. There we go. Great amps. And yeah, the one I have, so got started. So I non sequitur into a non sequitur. The weight and the price, it's about 65 pounds, as I recall. So the thing is that California, it's a prohibitively expensive state to live. Much more importantly, they seem to be doing just about everything to make it impossible to do business here. It's kind of like why so many companies have left the state of California, and it's a little unsafe. I think I said this last week. It's like I venture into San Francisco as rarely as I can, basically. In the period of about 4 years, they've trashed one of the most beautiful cities. It was actually just this past week rated the worst city in San Francisco. There you have it. All right. But the point being is that when I first went and picked up my first boogie in like about 1981, the people that I met then are still a boogie. It's unlike, and this is kind of my favorite little micro rant. Now I'm the one that's ranting. If you know, a lot of amps, and you know, here's the thing: there's a lot of great manufacturing that happens overseas, so long as you don't mind that somebody's putting together a guitar amp that doesn't know the difference between a speaker cable and an instrument cable. And it seems to work. They're just kind of on some sort of assembly line. They care nothing about you. It's a job, and that's okay. But craftsmanship comes for a price, and it is yes, 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 yes. What's going on, Eric? I'm not going to go like crazy because I'm that's not how I feel. But some of the folks were really kind of like they just like for some reason Facebook seems to draw out the worst of people. And there was a forum that I or a Facebook group that I posted about the video, and I was just like, really? It's like that's all you've got to say, So in any case, it was disappointing. And then on the YouTube thing, a couple of people have made very reasonable comments, and it's an important thing to just kind of go, look, these things are expensive, but you get what you pay for. So with that out of the way, I want to play a little bit of music for y'all, and I just am absolutely blown away by this amp. So I think the first clip I'm going to play for you is actually this thing mic'd up with the 121 and the 57 there. So I am actually a big fan of Roswell Pro Audio mics. Mini K47. Great mic for the money, $300-ish. Better than a Coke Zero, I can tell you that. I am also a fan of the DPA 2011C, I think is what this guy is. And I have multiples of all these mics, but because so many people were familiar with this particular combination, I was like, let me just put that on there. A 121 is about $1,000 give or take, and paired with the 57, it is really it just allows you to do a really great job of getting really close to the actual sound of the amplifier. And one of the most important things that I would have wanted to know is, all right, it's a combo, but does it chug? I don't necessarily chug like Ola, but how does it do with violently aggressive sound? Mark Turvey, what's going on? Melissa Doppler, hello. So let me just start there. Here we go. And this may be a little bit louder than the back of that amp looks like a fractal product. I love it. Here we go. And let's go heavy. Maybe a little bit louder, so letting you know. I mean, holy cow. The interesting thing is that oh boy, I'm not going to touch that one today. Is that, the first thing I wanted to know was this has got a C90, the Custom 90, which is a Celestion 90-watt speaker. Most of the cabinets on the back line, not those guys, but those guys are loaded with a Vintage 30, which is kind of my go-to kind of sort of sound. But Peter Frampton started using those in Fender deluxe reverbs, and since then it's been a craze of people using Celestians in Fender amps. So the thing is that one of the things about using an open back single 12 combo enclosures, you're wondering how much of the sound pressure is escaping out the back, so you don't have that forward kind of megaphone, here's the boogie up your center aisle. And so that was the thing that for me, it sounds really flippin' good. And it's painfully loud. All right, now, as a contrast of this, one of the things that I was really taken with was, as I was kind of throwing everything that I could at it, kind of going, well, what are the different things? And every so often a happy accident happens, and I'm going to explain that after I play this. So, the interesting thing is that tone, I'll just play the beginning of it again, it doesn't have a huge amount of gain. But the bloom you get, and I am sitting right next to the thing, and I will admit it was a little on the loud side, but the classic boogie bloom, it's different than what you get out of the big cabinets. It's a different type of a deal. And so what I was really impressed by, and my point is that my first boogie was a Mark IIB, which essentially, given that this was built on the framework of the Mark II C+, was just a generation away. actually a third of a generation away, in that it was part of the Mark II series. So the there we go. There we go. Come on. Uh, uh, so I will share that here. I can go down this rabbit trail, but in a moment. Let me finish up with the amp. It's a really legitimate point. Chris, I'm actually not going to dodge your question. I usually am pretty good about taking things straight on the nose. Because I have a unique relationship with both Mesa Boogie and Fractal Audio, they've both been exceedingly good to me. So I always want to be careful about how far I step my toe into it. But at the same time, one of the missions that I'm on is to really be a legitimate. Thank you. Thank you. So, yes, Tony, what's going on, man? Anton Jarrett, speaking of old friends, dear friends. So, bloom is that kind of, there is feedback and then there's bloom, but yet the boogie feedback has a bloom that when it comes in, you can kind of hear it. Doesn't just kind of feed back. I'm going to play it again. You can kind of hear it go, whoa, and the whoa part of the rah is the bloom. Great to see you, my friend. I'm going to play that again because, gosh darn it, I just love this. And traditionally, a bloom refers to the way that the kind of the onset of the note, not necessarily feedback, but there is a quality about boogie feedback that is unique to combos. So I was kind of like, got that, because I kind of came up on a Mark IIB. When it did that, I'm like, oh, I know this vibe. So it was really cool. This is just an exceedingly cool amplifier. It's a limited edition model, so there's not going to be that many of them around. And it's pretty darn groovy, in my humble opinion. All right, let me give you some clean. You heard a little bit of it before, but this is a slightly more produced version. Holy cow. I mean, to go from like to that is, first of all, that Pink Strat is kind of one of my go-to demo guitars. But the interesting thing that John talks about in a longer form video, and by the way, even if you're not a Boogie fanatic, or dare I say not a John Petrucci fanatic, hearing John and Maddie talk about the development process of the amp and the features and how they look at what they do and why, it is a very rare look kind of behind the veil of the design process. And the neat thing about this is the Mark IIc Plus is an iconic amp. But there were some things about it that as they built this out with 3 channels, they're kind of like, hey, we can kind of riff on the concept. But interestingly enough, it really, there's a Prune Boogie, one of the original Prune Boogies that's here, that's on loan from a friend. There's 2 of them. But you can literally see the lineage come through, and it was neat that this amp kind of pays homage to that and builds on it, but in such a way that it really lends itself to so many very useful things. It's very powerful in terms of what it does. I haven't used the JPTC clean channel or just as a clean pedal platform, but I bet it's fine for that too. So interestingly enough, what's happened is in the video I'm going to do with Maddie that we're going to do a Zoom session in about an hour and 4 minutes. But we've kind of assembled various Petrucci-centric things. I got to have a Dreamscape in there as well. And we're basically going to kind of riff using this and my JP2C head on putting together a very JP2C John Petrucci influenced rig. And the idea is we're going to be breaking down kind of the what, why, and the how, talking about kind of what they have a tendency, or Maddie, what MIDI stuff makes sense, what you want to be controlling, what's, too far down the rabbit trail. But, basically all the key, functions that you might want to be able to have, being able to rip on some of this stuff. I'm going through the manual right now, seeing what I can change and what I can't change via MIDI, and then the stuff that you have to go over to the face of the amp. But there's just some really great features that are on there. What's going on, Mike? Great to see you, man. Was a long-time studio pre-Simul 290 user. Sounded great. Thank you. There's a Simul 290 right down there that's on loan from a buddy of mine. How heavy was your rack, my friend? Holy cow! That power amp weighs a ton. Holy cow! All right. Well, it's nice to see that we got some boogie peeps in here. So let's see. Is there anything? Oh, there we go. Paul, Marshall, to Marshall or to Boogie, tough decision, but good choices. I still have the Triaxis and the Simul 90. Come on, that's commitment. Especially like, gosh, if I had to mail this thing to somebody, I don't know how much it would cost. What's going on, Michael? Great to see you. Hello, 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 hello. Like the photo there. Okay, so the next clip I'm gonna play here is gonna be. Well, this is pretty self-explanatory. This is all going straight through the clean channel with both outputs, so to speak, stacked. So in contrast to kind of this really quintessential blues kind of black panel sort of vibe, which it does so well, that was literally the same settings with some delay. That's a Cooper Time Cube, my favorite go-to delay ever inside Universal Audio. Sorry, I use it on input, like right here. In console there, and I realize I've got a little mic bleed, but then I can copy those settings and paste them. I learned this trick from Larry Mitchell. I mean, it seems kind of obvious that you could, but Larry was the one that taught me. And then inside Pro Tools, then I'll load that same, I'll instantiate that plugin, and I'll load those same settings in there by copying from the plugin inside console into the one that's inside Pro Tools. But the fidelity of stacking the piezo on top of the magnetic and just running that into the front end of the amp, I was like, whoa. Petrucci talks about this thing that it's this, what he describes as a piano like quality. And one of the things that I noticed about this particular demo, I'm going to go back here because it will speak it a little bit better. The Strat, the pink Strat, has a tendency to disappear a little bit on the second string. And the way this amp is designed, and I really understood what John meant about kind of the piano-like quality, in that when you hit a note in a different register on the piano, they don't get louder or softer, unlike the way when you move from string to string on some guitars. And the pink Strat in particular is really guilty of it. There's certain notes that just kind of, by virtue of what string they're on, they really kind of just disappear. And in this one, it did not do that. And I was just the clarity and the volume consistency from string to string is the guitars never sounded as good or better. All right, so to Nicholas's point, if you're on a mobile device, that will be really tiny. So I'm going to read that. Uh, 100% right on the money. So the amazing thing is you get all this clarity from string to string. And part of the point of that demo is I'm playing all over the neck. I'm playing across all the different strings. And usually that guitar, it's a Strat. It kind of disappears in certain places on the neck. And somehow it manages to reproduce the notes that normally are quieter because of all the natural tube compression. So to quote Nicholas and read out loud for those that can't see that, because if I were on my mobile device, I certainly couldn't read that. The headroom on the clean channel is absurd, 100%. That compression is what I love on that channel. It doesn't fight you. It's an amazing channel with every guitar I have. I mean, that's kind of like, it's, you know, I'm a Boogie endorser. This amp is heading on to another place on Wednesday. But kind of coming back to this amp and plugging into that clean channel, I'm like, I think that may be my favorite Boogie clean channel, and I just didn't think of this amp that way, and I was just like, holy cow. But the neat thing is because, again, it's a combo, it's such a great environment to have a great clean channel. No need to apologize. I'm not sure what you're apologizing for, but absolutely. And that's kind of the thing. It's just like, it's not, of all the things that it does them all. I'm just like, really? All right. Gosh darn it. All right. Now, Chris Alexander, my dear friend, just faithful, not to the end, but just faithful. He kind of jumped in asking about chords and intervals and whatnot. Based on this, and he asked about string skipping. That's not going to be the focus of today. Mobile device. Yes. By the way, if any of you are in the Southern California area on Saturday, July 20th, Larry Mitchell and I are doing an late afternoon clinic at the OC Vibe Guitar Festival. And then that night at 8 p.m., we're doing 2 sets and then a jam set at Alvis Showroom in San Pedro. So if you're in Southern California, we'd love to see you there. It's going to be really a lot of fun. Larry and I have a great time together. He's a sensational player. Hey, by the way, is that Jason? How you doing, my man? Great to see you. I would love to, hopefully sooner than later, we'll be making our way up to Canada. But there we go. Hello, my dear friend. Always a pleasure. Love the photo, man. Thanks for tuning in. All right, so only minimal amount of rabbit trailing, but it relates to the general subject. So I will jump ahead a little bit because I do that. So we're going to be talking about, the funny thing is what we're going to do, and this is why the pen and the paper is valuable, we're just going to kind of take a look at chords, where they come from, and then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of understand how they're built. And Tony Lucchese, my dear friend, by the way, thanks everybody for showing up today. Much appreciated. Where is Tony's post with this 513 business? Where is that? Come on. There we go. So, literally, if you took a look at the C major scale, and if you saw this 1, 3, 5, 1, 3, 5, 1. So if we took this triad, right, let's do this one. I tell you what, I'm going to do it for the key of G. G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. And the G is the 1, the B is the 3, and the D is the 5. And there's another 1, 3, 5, and another 1. So I'm going to take this 1, 3, and 5, G, B, D. And if instead of going 1, 3, 5, I go 3, 5, 1, or I go 5, 1, 3, that's kind of the easy way to see how these guys work. So I'm going G, B, D, B, D, G, D, G, B. Except for the fact that's really kind of messy to be kind of moving around the neck, jumping around like that. And it kind of goes against one of the benefits of being able to play through inversions. Is like if I wanted to go, for example, if I'm in the key of A and I went 1, 4, 5, it's going to be A major, D major, and E major. A major, I could go D major like that, and I can go E major like that. And if we're arpeggiating, and if you're in a ska band, So that's allowing us to, with very little real estate change between the 1/4 and the 5, which means that once you kind of understand what's happening there under the hood, it's very powerful, especially for kind of arpeggiated sequences, kind of like you heard me kind of running through there. Those are great when you've got maybe some section of a song where you don't want to just play larger chords. You want to create some texture. It also goes really well with a little bit of, for example, delay. All right, so that's not your classic beat sync thing, but at least you can kind of hear that it brings out some texture to the part, and they're just really great to work with. But, it takes a minute to kind of get comfortable with that. I had a student, Kanan Malak, lovely guy. He really had inversions down at a point where I was kind of like, pain point, not there yet. And I just remember watching him whip through them. I'm just like, oh, I got to learn how to do that. So with all that said, let me just scroll down to the bottom of the comments here, make sure I'm attempting to stay on top of stuff. By the way, if I missed something from you, let me know. Awesome. So the idea is, if we take the C major scale, just kind of like you saw me do with Gene, and if you saw the Instagram post or Facebook post, it's literally just saying, hey, the C major scale, C, hold the D, hold the E, have to F, hold the G, hold the A, hold the B, have to C. So that's what we're going to be working off. So do me a favor, on a piece of paper, if you're so inclined, just write from left to right, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And that way you can just kind of see the notes we're starting with. And do me a favor, circle the C, the E, and the G. That way we're just kind of going, I got it. I'm seeing out of this range of notes, those are the ones that we're targeting. And that just allows us to kind of think of it, which is part of this thing. Is like, how do we think about inversions? That's one of the things I was thinking about. It's like, well, it's not just understanding the theory. It's kind of how you begin to think about them. And to the point that I had with Chris, so one of the coming lessons is going to be on spread triads, spread chords. So this right there is a close voicing. These inversions right there. If I take a G major, well, let's head back to the key of C for a minute. If I played a C major bar chord, take my word for it, and as a matter of fact, write this down from left to right, C, G, C, E, G, C, and then kind of take a look at that as compared to the scale that you, in theory, have on the row above it. You can kind of go, okay, because most people don't think of chords as bits and pieces of a scale played at the same time. And one of the advantages of reading music, and I'm lame at reading music, it's one of my goals for the next year is to kind of begin to up that skill, is that scales are written laterally where chords are written linearly. So the neat thing about being able to kind of see the notes of a chord kind of written as, if you will, an arpeggio, C, G, C, E, G, C, allows you to kind of go, oh, okay, I can see how that relationship has a scalar relationship. So the point being able to kind of go, okay, well, if I just kind of can see where those come from, and then kind of begin to kind of go, okay, that's how this guy begins to function, we can then kind of go, okay, well, the C is the 1, the E is the 3, the G is the 5. That is to say, if we went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, C is the 1, E is the 3, and G is the 5. So looking at this chord, it is a C, E, G, C, E. So this one's pretty straightforward. It's just going 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. Do me a favor, write on your piece of paper there 1, 3, 5, 1, 3. And the deal is that as we walk up the bottom strings, we're just going to be taking, there we go. Thank you. Oh, look at that, Zach, you crafty guy there. Now that is cooking with sterno right there. So interestingly enough, okay, love that. So I'm gonna rabbit trail that. So one of the things that you could do would be to use two different colored inks. And let's say, example, we're just going to go with black and red. Quite often people use red for the root, but for this case, we don't want to. One of the things I hate when I look at scale and chord diagrams, and they've got like 5 million different colors, and you're like, you just want to run, and you can't easily extract the information. So in this particular case, the brackets are great. I love that. Another thing that you could do would be write C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and then write the C, E, G, C, put those in red, such as you get used to. And the thing about doing that, and the brackets are great, so I'm not sliding that, is that as you're writing the C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, Sean, what's going on, my friend? You are automatically, when you're thinking of C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, you're seeing the C, E, G, and thinking of like, right, those are the important notes that I want to be calling out there. Hey, I look forward to seeing you and all your awesome guitars, Rick, on the 20th. It'll be a pleasure, my dear friend. Rick, I was like, I'm not going to go off screen today. I was like, I promised myself. But no, I can't resist. There we go. I can show everybody my lovely RH custom guitar. And, yeah. Attempting to not sequitur too much. So, any of y'all that are going to be in Southern California, this is my RH custom, and it is a phenomenal. Look at that guitar. I don't normally buy guitars on looks, and when I saw this at the guitar show we met at, which is a different one than the OC Vibe show, I was kind of like, okay, that's one of the most beautiful instruments I've ever seen. But it was plugging it in that really kind of did the deal, right? You know, just like, I was like, wow. And it plays a very special place in my world. Promises are made to be broken. Oh, boy, that's a different conversation. All right, so the idea, though, is being able to look at a group of notes that are a scale and then have a strategy for how you kind of see the forest for the trees, right? Or the trees for the forest or something, I don't know. Yeah, so in this particular case, one of the things that we want to be able to get comfortable with, and do me a favor, write down major equals 135, minor equals 1 flat 3 5, and diminished equals 1 flat 3 flat 5, because that will allow us to kind of make sense of if I were to play over here, this C major scale, and instead of going C, E, G on 2 strings, I went, it is very real. And thank you, Raphael. So 135 could be played like that, but it can also be played like that. So if that's 135 as in major, this is 1 flat 3 5 as in minor, and this is 1 flat 3 flat 5 as diminished. Major, minor, diminished. And so the other thing I want you to write from left to right is major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major. And what that means is you can plug in those shapes right there, major, minor, and diminished, and go major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major, major, diminished, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major. Or major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major, major, diminished, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major, major, diminished, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major. And so what strategically, kind of getting back to my comment with Chris, and we're going to talk about the inversions with the spread chords in just a moment. 135, 351, 513. So on this one, I'm seeing the root on this string, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. On this one and on this one, I'm seeing the root on the second string. And that will, for most people, really mess you up initially, because you're like, the lowest note in the chord's not the root. Meltdown. And there's a certain amount where we're so used to seeing the lowest note as the root that we like, our bearings, it's just upside down. But once you can kind of go, well, okay, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, can't be that hard. So here we're taking the 3, the 5, and the 1 and placing them around C, D, E. And again, you should take the order. And you can go ahead and write this as well. C major, D minor, E minor, F major. Let me slow it down. C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and C major. And it means that, first of all, now you can kind of just map these with that bit of business. As far as this little shape goes right here, Let me take that, and I'm going to play it right here. So this is major, and basically I'm going E, G, C. All right, if I wanted to, and that's 3, 5, 1. So if I wanted to turn that into minor, that's flat 3, 5, 1, and I'd turn it into diminished, flat 3, flat 5, 1. Major, minor, diminished, and I might finger that like that. If I can get the notes to ring, major, holy cow, major, minor, diminished. There we go. And then this little guy here, most of us have played a D major to a D minor, and getting to the D diminished is just going like that. This is 5, 1, 3, 5, 1, flat 3, flat 5, 1, flat 3, 5. And if we were to play it up here, this is for the key of C. I'm going G, C, E. G, C, E flat, and G flat, C, E flat. And the idea is you just plug that in on these different strings. All right. So the funny thing is, what's going on, Digital Viper? There we go. Thank you. All right, so there is an interesting point about the D in the midst of all that. Thank you very much, Zach. So back in the days when I studied with Joe Satriani, at the triadic level versus 7 chords, it's a 3-note chord. And traditionally when you use a symbol for that, for minor, you would just write a minus sign. So generally speaking, if I wanted to write G major, A minor, so on and so forth, I'd write a big, I'm jumping back to the key of G on the brain. Key of C, I would write a big C, and you could write a big M or write the word major, but you could also just write C, and that means a C major triad. Then for D, you would write a D with a minus sign, or you could use D with a little m. I generally just write uppercase C, C, D with a minus sign, E with a minus sign, F with no sign because it's major, G with no sign because it's major, A with a minus sign because it's minor. And then when I get to the B, I will put a little circle, and that denotes diminished. But I will put a circle with a slash through it, which technically denotes minor 7 flat 5, which is a 7th chord. We're playing triads here, so why do we do that? And in going through my old lesson plans from Joe, I noticed he did that as well. So I just, first of all, copied what he did. Sorry, Joe. But the idea is it says that, really, okay, if you're only playing the triad, you're just playing the 1 flat 3 flat 5. But if you get all fancy and decide to slip the 7 in there, getting back to last week's Theory Geek thing, anharmonic. So if we take a minor 7 flat 5, it's going to be a 1 flat 3 flat 5 flat 7. A truly diminished 7 chord goes 1 flat 3 flat 5 doubly flat 7, which is anharmonically the same. Is that to say, if I were taking in the key of C, here's my 1, key of C, I need to beat the 7. Here's my 1 flat 3 flat 5 flat 7. But if I went 1 flat 3 flat 5 doubly flatted 7, that is anharmonically the same as the 6. Flat 7, doubly flatted 7, same note, anharmonic. So basically that is non-diatonic to the Locrian mode, which has a flat 6. That is to say, a diminished minor 7 flat 5, also known as a half diminished, 1 flat 3 flat 5 flat 7, is built coming out of the Locrian mode. Unlike the truly diminished 7 chord, which does not fit in the Locrian mode. And so it's just a little bit of a safety gap that just kind of allows you to go, hey, look, if you're going to be thinking about adding the 7 to this, add a flat 7, not a doubly flatted 7. Oh, awesome, George. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Nice guitar there, by the way. Little tattoo action there. Looking sharp, dude. The only diminished I understand is how bad my playing has diminished with old age, 54. There is a whole conversation around that that I've got to get out of here in about 9 minutes, so I'm not going to have time to go down that rabbit trail, but a valuable one because, as some of you have heard me say, I went to Australia. I kind of rediscovered not only practicing, but the outgrowth of that is woodshedding. And so my guess is, Digital Viper, Oh, Wes, hey, what's happening there, my man? Um, is that we remember what we did when we were in woodshed mode, and there was the intense practice, and all of a sudden it seeps out and like, oh, these are things I'm going to bring over into my playing. We all know how to get there. Those of us who have done that. So I just encourage you to find that space and that time, and you will be totally there. All right. So 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 7, 6, 5, 6, 7, 1, 7, 6, 5, 6, 7, 1, 5, 3, 1. I encourage you by ear, once you've kind of laid the train tracks here, to start playing through that, through the different so on and so forth. It allows you to kind of go, I'm actually using them to make music. And, you know, one of the challenges with most of the time when you see inversions, nope, there aren't any here. You'll see them in a chart and you're like, ah, you know, and it takes a moment because you kind of have to deal with the upper end. For example, this guy right here is a G over B. It really means it's a G major, G, B, D, a G over B. It's a G major in first inversion. And that's a G major over the D. That's a G major in second inversion. Here's G in root voicing. She's root position, first inversion, second inversion. So, but it takes a while in the midst of playing a chord progression. So if I want to go from E minor to C major, but instead of going E minor, I'm going to go to C over E. That's a C major in first inversion. And then I'm going to go to, so there we go. I went E minor in root position, C major in first inversion, G major in first inversion, and D major in first inversion. So I just played regular E minor like that instead of playing the C like that. It's a little Hendrix deal right there. That's C over E, or C major in first inversion. Then I did that little G major triad there like that. That's G over B, G major in first inversion. Then I took what I did over here with the, I just moved up to D. E minor, C over E, or C major in first inversion, G over B, G in first inversion, D over F sharp. And after a while, you'll just begin to recognize, oh, G over B. I just played the G major triad, and I put the B in the bass, right? But it takes a little bit of understanding going, oh, got it, okay, well, there's the C, E, G, E, G, C, G, C, E, C. Essentially C over E, C over G, because that's the lowest note in the bass. Although when you're playing it at the triadic level, it's not totally like that. But we could say it like, here's C. Sorry for the intonation there. C over E, C over G, root position, first inversion, second inversion. So what I would suggest doing is playing this little triad. Oh, we're going to finger this. You're going to need to move some fingers around. You're going to be playing C, E, G on the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd strings at the 10th, 9th, and 8th frets. And you're going to replace that with the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd fingers and bring the 1st finger around, or you can use your thumb there. So you basically be playing C, E, G over C. And that's root position. Then we're going to play these guys with the 4th, 3rd, and 2nd fingers and play them over the E there. That's C over E. That's in first inversion. And then we're going to use the 1st, 2nd, and 4th fingers and get the 3rd finger there. And that's in second inversion. All right. Got 4 minutes here before I need to Jitterooski. This right here, unlike this guy, this is a close voicing because the 1, 3, and 5 are all neighborly like with each other. But this guy is a 1, 5, 3. And you might have seen Rick Beato talk about these guys. And to answer your question, Chris, now that guy right there is no longer in a spread voicing, but it was just kind of, you kind of begin to start messing around with it, like, oh, okay. All right, so the deal is that is 153, 1 5 flat 3, 1 5 flat 3, 1 5 3, 1 5 3, 1 5 flat 3, 1 5 5 flat 3, and 1 5 3. And wait for it if you look at your sheet. That's going to be major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, major, major, diminished, minor, major, major, minor, minor, major, so on and so forth. Now, what's going on, Terry? Great to see you. Chances are I have every guitar that anybody I've ever jammed with that I had when I was jamming with them. But thank you for asking. How you been? Great to see you, my man. Craig Parker, hello. Great to see you as well. I love that shot. So, Zach, I am literally... So, great point. So, in the background, we have been working on getting a rhythm section lined up, and it was literally yesterday that we actually got the rhythm section officially lined up. So I am filling out the online form that has all the photos and different things for that show. So you're correct. We are not very industrious of you on the website yet. It's been a little busy. You are a force of powerful energy as well. Thank you for that. All right. If you play with first inversion starting with a G on an upstroke, is that technically a different inversion? Really great question. So, no. Generally speaking, the way these things, you would view them, it's a great question, by the way. It's like that is to say, if we went... All right. It's interesting how you hear things. So the deal is, it has to do with the way it's written. What's in the bass? What's the lowest note? Even if you start from a higher note above and you're working down, if I'm reading your question right, it's what is happening in the bass and how that relates to the root. No, and it's a great question though. I was like, because there's sometimes we're so steeped in whatever the heck it is that we think about. Wow. Okay. Thank you. You just, thank you. Whatever I did, the pleasure was mine, and thank you. We are a community of guitar players. We get a chance to raise each other up. Thank you for taking the time to say that. Much appreciated. Way awesome. All right, spread triads. So these guys, well, that is a voicing 1-5-3. Well, what if we went 3-1-5 or 5-1-3 or 1-5-3? So again, what I did was I took just a bunch of 1s, 3, 5s. We'll move over to the key of C for a minute. We're going to go C, G, E, E, G. So E, C, G, G, E, C, and C, G, E. Hopefully I got that right. And that's 1-5-3, 5-1. Sorry, 1-5-3, 3-1-5, 5-3-1, and 1-5-3. C, G, E, E, G. Oh gosh, darn it. E, C. So it's leapfrogging every time. That is to say, we're going to the 1, we're skipping the 3, which means we're at the 5, we're skipping the 1, we're going to the 3. 1-5-3, which then in the next one, which will be first inversion, is going to go 3, skipping the 5, go to the 1, skipping 3, going to the 5. And the next one is going to be going at the 5, skipping the 1, going to the 3, skipping the 5, going to the 1. 5, 3, 1. And the last one is going to be 1, skipping the 3, going to the 5, skipping the 1, going to the 3. 1, 5, 3, 3, 1, 5, 5, 3, 1, 1, 5, 3. C, G, E, E, C, G, G, E, C, and C, G, E. And after a while, you get comfortable with looking at that stuff like that. But that's taking the same concept, and we're then just kind of going, well, instead of going a close voicing, let's do a spread voicing, then let's work it through with inversions. All right, it's officially time for me to go. It has been a pleasure. Terry, thank you for that. That really, if we were to be brutally honest in this world and say, oh, the affirmation of other people doesn't mean anything, we'd be totally full of it. And not that our sole motivation is to kind of do stuff to have people go, oh, there you go, good, Dougie. But somewhere in the midst of all of that, I think there's not enough pats on the backs and not enough great job hugs and two thumbs up in this world. People seem to be, myself included, sometimes not as forthcoming with affirmation as maybe we would, could, or should be. So, I'm very grateful to have the community of people that I love and feel loved by. So I thank you all of that. Thank you. Great weekend to you as well, Craig. Very kind. Thank you. Warms the heart. Not kidding. Zach, with great pleasure. That's awesome. All right, you guys and gals. Have a great one. Thanks so much for sharing your Saturday with me, and I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care.